course, of course.
Yeah, okay, I'm done.
Okay, very good. Well, tell me about types of buildings that where you live. So what types of buildings are there where you live?
Um, well, I live in the far away from the city center, but but things surrounds me. Recently, it's a skyscraper and all the buildings. It's actually so different to when I first moved here. Uh, Before it just was my apartment, which is the only buildings in here. But now every building is being built every day, and I guess it's because of the overpopulation in my country right now,
Yeah.
especially in the.
Yeah, of course. And actually, I want to know about the materials that are used to build houses or homes in your country. So I want to know what is the most maybe common material. So if it's bricks, wood, or what else?
I think it's concrete.
Yeah. Great, it's concrete. Okay, so you can add this to this question. So if you're asked this question, that what type of building, you can add, the material. So of course you can say there are lots of skyscrapers, in my area, just, the place where I live. And just don't forget about, paraphrase the word build to construct. You know that we have another word, just, okay. Okay, so you can use this word, and you can say, for example, they're locally made bricks, and for example, you say concrete or wood or some other materials. Okay, well, and about actually monuments. I want to know if there are any monuments in your hometown or the city you live.
Um, I don't think I remember there's one near my neighborhood. But there's one monument that is very famous, which located in the heart of our city, which represents a famous soldiers from the war about more than 500 years ago.
Yeah, of course. So it's a kind of tourist attraction.
No, I think it's more than like historical places, but
Yeah,
it doesn't attract much tourists.
yeah, of course. And tell me about, because you said historic buildings. So historic is here is better. So do you like to visit historic buildings?
Mm, not really. I've gone all of the historic buildings to historic museums in my country for it's actually a part of my extracurricular at school, but I don't find it interesting or something that bring me a sense of like I don't know, but um, maybe it brings brings some advantage in studying, but I don't find it interesting.
Of course, you are not into, so it's not your cup of tea. Of course, maybe, why not? Well, and let me ask you another question about your hometown, especially because I want to know if your hometown has changed in recent years.
Hometown. Um, I'm sorry, but I been always thinking that hometown it's like the city
Hometown,
that my
where
hometown.
you were born. A city you live can be
Yeah,
different from your hometown. Yeah.
yeah. So I've I've born I was born in the city. So my life started all surrounds in the city, and it's been changed a lot since about 17 years ago.
Yeah.
First, because at that time there wasn't much tall buildings, skyscrapers, and like entertainment places for youngsters to go.
Yeah.
But now it's changed a lot, and I think the most obvious one is the city is become more livable, and um, it's worth spending time here. Uh,
Yeah. Of course. So you mean, of course, about building, we can say many new buildings actually have appeared these actually in these years, maybe in recent years, so we can see more skyscrapers or more buildings, you mean?
yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, so first of all, let's talk about this one. So when we want to say that a building, or for example, we want to say that some buildings appear. So how to say? We have two good words, of course. The first one, spring up. So spring up. The second one, crop up. Both means to appear. So when talking, especially when talking about buildings, so it's really good when you're talking about cities. So for example, you can say many buildings have sprung up, just you need to use past perfect, have sprung up or have cropped up. So in my hometown, in my city, okay. And so when you want to say that lots of people actually moved, as you said, because of, I don't know, different reason, for different reason, many people moved to this area. So we can say a flow of people. So we can say there is a phrase here that you can use, and that is influx of people. So, for example, I can say there has been an influx of citizens or people. So there has been an of citizens or people into, for example, my city or cities. That is, many people moved. So, and this is the second one. So, an lot of people means a flow or movement of people. So, and how to use it? There, with there are, you can use, okay? And of course, we can say that this, increase urbanization. So of course, moving people, of course, has led to a higher cost of living. So we are talking about the changes. So it's not bad to mention all the things. So you can say increased urbanization led to a higher cost of living. So another, what is this? Another maybe point that you can mention here, so cost of living. And tell me about facilities before we keep going. So I want to know about recreational facilities and amenities. I want to know, why do you have, like, I want to know about, I don't know, playgrounds, gyms, for example, swimming pools. So tell me if there are lots of, recreational facilities and amenities.
Um, I well, I have to say that amenities and facilities in my neighborhood, it's so accessible. Like within about 200 meters, people can easily go to the gym, the playground, the supermarket. I think that everything is just within my neighborhood, and people can go on foot.
Yeah, so they can have access. So you
Yeah.
can say, yeah, they can get you and have access. Very good. Well, okay, my next question. So we talked about historic, just historic here and historical. Of course, you can say historical, but historic is better here. Okay, tell me about other landmarks in your hometown. So I want to know what you have. So what other landmarks order in your hometown or city? That I don't want to say hometown because you moved, so I want to say city. Okay, so tell me about them. And you know that landmark can be a building
Yeah.
that's, you know, is easily seen or recognized.
Yeah. Uh, so what do you mean by landmarks here? Like what do you want to know?
I said, what other, you know, the landmarks in your hometown or your city? Okay, I mean, for example, you can mention some buildings. For example, that is, I don't know. For example, you see some modern buildings, a modern building that is really ugly. You know, we say that, for example,
Yeah.
this is very, you know, for example, it's modern, but I don't know, or it's a 6-story, I don't know, office block. So something that is really recognizable, you can easily see it because it's, I don't know, it's really tall and high rise. So because of something, it can draw your attention.
Yeah. So there's a few famous high-rise building that is really stand out in the city, and most of the construction of these high-rise building are let I mean uh, it's not done by our country, but rather than that, it's from Korea and Japan and maybe America, international company, and
Oh,
yeah, and they they lead the construct team and make some like amazing building, and even and although that have been constructed few years ago, but I think that it's um like masterpiece because the furniture and the other things inside, it's just looks so good. It's draw my attention whenever I walk by.
yeah, of course, very good. Well, so you can say that um, you can see some beautiful, I want to say maybe impressive, actually, I don't know, it can be beautiful, or as you said, it can be very, like, for example, masterpiece. Yeah, it's really good. At the same time, you can talk about something because when we say landmark, okay, just let me write it here. And after that, that was perfect answer. So it was correct. Just I want to explain it about landmark. When we say a building, or it can be an object, not only building, but here we're talking about buildings. So a building that is easily seen and recognized from a distance. So this is landmark, and it can be really beautiful, good. For example, I don't know, neat, clean, or good one, or it can be something like a horrible. And I don't know, something like sometimes we have, especially nowadays, modern architecture actually make some different, and they think they're really different, but of course different in a bad way. So you can say that, for example, if there is a church, if there is, for example, I don't know, a famous building, if there is a high rise, or for example, office or company or block, or if there is an ugly monstrosity. Okay, so let me say monstrosity. This one is good. And you know that it comes from monster, so you can guess the meaning of this. Okay. And for example, building, historic building, especially, I don't know, somewhere like castle or something like this. So you can mention different places. Of course, just don't answer this question in general, because I'm asking you about one or two items that you can mention. If you answer in general, it can be something like part three. But here I want to know if there is, for example, somewhere that every time, if you see, for example, I say, oh, this is Eiffel Tower. Wherever you stay, you can see it. So something like this, okay? Or maybe something like zombie building or something like this, especially modern architecture. So it's used for modern architecture that is totally ugly. Okay, well, the next question, tell me about a famous structure. So have you ever visited a famous structure?
Yeah, there's a really famous cathedral in my city, which have been constructed about more than 1,000 years ago by French. Um, before French, yeah, the French invade my country, and they set a and they use our money to construct a lot of building based on their um, based on based on their favor, and um, and now it still remain and become a really famous tourist attraction for um, and I think that even in weekdays, there's a lot of people come and take a picture there. I guess every tourist that come to Vietnam, especially Hanoi City, will come to that at least once to see the architecture um, by their naked eyes.
Yeah, of course. So it can be a piece of art. Well, so first of all, it's the point here that you use something that should have been in passive, but you didn't. Just, they have been structured. So it's just, you left this one being that's really important. Passive is perfect, but just pay attention when using. Sometimes, we may, I don't know, forget to use be that is really important to use it. And so we can say this building can, actually you mentioned cathedral, that can be okay, ancient, that was really good. And we can say stunning because most of people, and it can be picturesque, picturesque. And of course it's like a touristy like place because most of people. So you can use different adjectives to describe actually buildings, and you can also use these adjectives to describe town and cities. Okay, why not? So for example, if something is up to date or modern, so you can, if it's charming, if it's dull or boring, or for example, if it's sprawling. So especially for big cities, like crowded and big cities, we use this if it's bustling. So but here, because we specifically talk about um, buildings, so just, these adjectives. Okay. Well, so it's historical. So I want to know that you said that you visited this place, and could you tell me about the best thing about this place? Why did you find it really maybe interesting and you wanted to go and visit?
Well, first, it's located in the middle of city, and it is surrounded by a lot of good restaurant and like numerous souvenir shops and coffee shops for youngsters to hang out, and I think it's a really good point. And we can do whatever we want to there. Um, um, I I've been heard young people in my country say that if we don't know where to go, just head to the cathedral because it's surrounded by like multiple entertaining places.
Yeah, of course, very good. Well, so here that was really good. So thank you. Just but here actually you talked about some different aspects. So why not? You can say the main features maybe that grab my attention. So first feature you need to use when you're talking about different aspects of something, maybe the best feature about it. Or you can say that it grab your attention, so you wanted to. Of course, it was about, you mentioned some different, so the first one about architecture and different. So do you think that it's a kind of heritage?
Mm, well, it's that heritage has to be like proof, has to be like uh, proof by UNESCO.
No, not only, no, not necessarily. It can be a thing, building, or for example, or maybe tradition that is, that are important to the nation's history. So some of them maybe yes, but some of them no, not necessarily.
So yeah, I think it's kind of yeah, famous heritage.
Yeah, I think just, for heritage, you don't say famous because, of course, it's famous so that it can be a heritage. So just heritage is really good. Well, okay. So that was really good. And now, tell me about another. So as you know, we have different maybe attractions, the different aspects that can be considered as attractions for people from different countries. So, I want to know whether a country can be considered as a historical attraction or no.
Mm, Sorry,
Totally.
can you repeat the question?
Of course. So, I want to know if your country can be considered as a historical attraction or no.
Mm, I think yeah, I think it's because it is famous. I mean, because of this.
Because I
Mm,
want to know if there are castle, I don't know, I want to know some historic places. So, if or no,
mm, well, not really.
so
Um, I guess people may go to some like uh, popular featured and to I guess most people would rather go to like some popular feature rather than historical buildings or something like that because I mean in because we've been my country have been damaged destroyed badly by a war few decades ago, so what we remain now it's some historical buildings and but it's not really remain its sense of history and also it's cannot be reconstruct
yeah.
modernly, so it's been like they just keep it that but do nothing with that.
Yeah, of course. So just I want to actually mention two words here. First of all, because you talked about war and some buildings that especially after was were affected by war, so I don't know they were destroyed or damaged. So I want to know the first word that you can, if you want to use, if you mean this, you can say ruin, just ruin. For example, a ruin can be a building. For example, something like when you have a reduction, okay, to state, I don't know, and collapse, when you have a collapse, you can say a ruin. So you actually faced a ruin after war. So you can mention this one, the first word. And after that, we have a word here that is prefabs. And what is this? After war, I want to know if you had, or not, just, suddenly it popped up in my mind. So prefabs were popular after war when many homes had to build quickly, but actually are coming back into fashion with new technology and modern design. So we say prefab. So do you have the same things? Some homes that were really, especially at that time.
Um, Actually, it's kind of hard to say um, because well, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, of course. That was not a question. Just, I want to know that about, the maybe structure and the form, actually, maybe architecture. Okay, so when I mentioned a word that was prefab, so that were popular after the war, because you mentioned the war. So after, I don't know, destroying lots of buildings, many new homes had to be built just quickly. Okay, but they're coming back into the fashion with new technology and modern design now. So we have some old structures. For example, you can see something like this in London. So you see that, okay, it's really old, maybe ancient buildings, but when you leave and when you consider interior of it, you can see, oh, totally modern. So do you have the same thing?
Um, well, yeah, I think so because war just happened and finished before even my mom was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to go back to that time to see how buildings and houses, apartment was constructed, and there wasn't much videos and documents about it, documentary about it.
Of course.
Um, but there's a only a town which in the city center remains the same as remain the same as it used to be. But um, although it's remain our history,
Yeah.
remain our sense of history, it is so. Um, I think their house are like out of date, and it can be really really small for a family to fit in. It's
Yeah.
not, and it's I think it's not even contain uh include a bed in the house, and they have to sleep on the carpet on the floor.
Ah.
And our government, and I think it's still like a controversy. It still remain a controversy because the government doesn't allow us to reconstruct that because it's still relates to our history. But people who live in that may suffer a lot because yeah, they it's even difficult to go inside and outside because it's really small.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, so you can say, because just the only maybe point that I can mention here, so it's about, involving a change. So you can say that some buildings actually involving some changes, but about that one, no. So you can say it doesn't involve, any changes, and it remained unchanged. So you can say something like this, exactly the same as before, as used to be. So no change here is a good one that you can use. Well, and now we're going to move on part two of speaking, and let's talk about, so let me write it on the board. Okay, we're going to talk about style of architecture. So describe style of architecture that you like. You should say, you know that again, we have some WH question. You should say, so first of all, what style it is, what it looks like, where you can see it, and explain why you like this style.
Okay, I'm done.
Nice. Well, let's have your answer.
Yeah. Um, so I'll tell you about my favorite kind of architecture. So I've been growing up with a lot of princess series like Beauty and the Beast um, or Cinderella. So the one that I'm big fan of is like a castle style, which brings a strong sense of royalty. I've been to a castle once, and I've witnessed this with my naked eye, and all I can say it's was magnificent and ancient, outstanding. Um, uh, I guess most of the castle were constructed a long time ago, maybe maybe few thousand years ago, and all I can um, and it's give me and it's made me think that how can people in the past can construct such construct such a masterpiece? How can they come up and design with how can they come up design and to carry out the project with no technology and just man-made. And um, I've seen I've seen it multiple times through screen and phones. The experience that I can witness with my eyes, it's just so different, and I just so impressed with the experience I have, and I sometimes I imagine myself living in the castle like the princess, and it's just so incredible to and I feel that it's so incredible to have a chance to live in there.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. Thank you. Just you come up with a new idea, come up with, okay, just good answer. Some points. The first one, this one, what it looks like, it was included, but not totally. So when I have this part, maybe you need to give more details about entrance, about, so when you say castle, okay, maybe I haven't seen Disney actually animation, so I don't have any idea about this type of castle. Okay, so it's not bad to explain it. Now, first of all, before we keep going with this, I think it's not bad to have some adjectives and words to talk about because you need them when talking about especially something like your favorite historical or building or something like this. Okay, the first one, so you know them, but it's not bad. Elegant. So I just typed them on the board. If you have the meaning of them, you know the meaning of, I don't need to explain, you know that elegant, like stylish, okay, and
Yeah.
stunning. So something that you said is really eye-catching for you. So it's really attractive, noticeable. So you can say this one. And after that, if you, because you said castles, Disney's castles and princes, actually, they all are covered with a lot of decoration, you know, so they are completely designed. So we can say ornate, that is covered with a lot of decoration and especially complicated designs. So we can say we can use this one. And for example, I don't know, they have ornate ceilings or for example, entrance. So you can say something like this. And well, some of them actually maybe people, this one is really good. If a building is controversial, because you know, some people, actually people have strong feelings, ideas about them. Some people love, some people hate. When it comes to princess stories, buildings, Disney, castles, some people say, wow. Most of people love, some people hate. Say, no, we don't like this, like, you know, boring. Or so we can say this type of buildings, or for example, everything, not only building, can be controversial. It means something that people have strong feelings and opinions about, like, you know, hate or love. So we can say, especially when it comes to historical buildings, maybe, and if this type of architecture is iconic or no. So it's like ground breaking. You know that, ground breaking. The best and the one in actually its category. So maybe new standards and new, I don't know, in a building, especially when it comes to new buildings, you can use them because, you know, in architecture, a design that is groundbreaking and sets new standards and buildings represent new style of architecture, they're iconic. So you can say this one. And you said, you said, for example, spacious, you know this, so I'm not going to talk about this. And if a building is not related to your answer, but it's not bad to know it because, you know, some buildings are eyesore. So what is that? They are not attractive. When you see them, it makes you tired. For example, especially about graffitis. Some people love, you know, graffitis are controversial because, you know, some people love, some people hate, but some of them are eyesore. You know, a
Yeah.
building that is not attractive, especially. So you can use this one again. So it's not bad. And okay, to just a verb that you can use instead of, because it's really good, especially for writing. When you want to say destroy, it's really good to use demolish. So demolish is a very good synonym for destroy, especially for writing. You can use it. So if you want, it's not bad. Well, okay. And let's keep going with part 3. Okay. And something else that I want to say, because we talked about unchanged building. So sometimes if we keep something uh, the same, and if something keep looking the same, for example, we can use the verb preserve. So you know that it's not just only protect because we have it, okay? To keep looking the same. They try, especially in the UK, we see that they try to restore and preserve historical buildings. So restore and preserve. And some of them, of course, transform, change. It's not bad. This one, if you want to use transform, you actually can be the opposite for this, to change something completely, especially if you want to improve it. Well, part 3 of speaking, the first one, the first question. Okay, what kind of people like to visit historic buildings? Wow. What kind of people, really? I'm speaking. What kind of people really like to visit historic building? But I'm sorry, this is the question for IELTS.
Um, I think, well, based on my experience, people, uh, I, based on my experience, people who have strong sense of patriotism, and I guess who have interest in old buildings, old architecture tend to go to historic museums the most. Um, because in there they can explore and the way and they may like figure out their way of thinking of the past people and um, um, may I start again?
Of course, yes. Why not?
Yeah. There are few people that I can think of. First, it's the person who have a strong sense of patriotism. They may want to get to know more about how people in the past live and construct their accommodation to live on. And the other type of people and can think of are students who want to do some research report for school. um, I have experienced that. So I know it's really it really brings a lot of advantages for students to go to the history museum.
Of course, very good. Well, uh, that was really good. Just, the only thing that I can say, I can add maybe here, because you need to sometimes, for example, I don't know, historic building, castle. So you need more than one or two words. So the next one, actually, another word that you can use, that is manor house, means mansion, means castle. So especially old manor houses, for example, when talking about Disney or princess, of course, you can use this one, manor house, that is mansion. And they normally, if you want to talk about another target visitors, I can mention kids. Because, especially in castles and I don't know, manor houses like mansions and something like this, they have extensive grounds. So kids really like to go and play. So we see that, okay, lots of kids are interested, not because of historic side, but because of actually extensive ground that actually provide them with enough place to play. So you can say, well, and of course, don't forget about retired people, please, because they have plenty of time to actually for leisure activities. So they normally visit. So you can mention, okay, because we need to actually, the purpose of having this question is to maybe separate different parts. So that the first one was perfect. I really like this. The beginning of your answer, that was perfect. I really liked it. What about the second? And it's not bad to add some other maybe categories, groups of people. So maybe young people, youngsters, older generation. Okay, and the next one. Do you think it's worth the money to preserve old buildings?
Um, I think that it depends on which type of the building it is. There are some old building, but there's no value both history, in both history and the value for. Well, I think it depends on which type of the building it is, because not all the old building contains a value in history, and it's just some building that used to be that existed for a very long time from the past, and sometimes it's becomes like it's become like um, a a building that nobody uh, that everybody ignore it, so it just become like a waste of money and a waste of space. So
Yeah,
instead of preserving these kind of building, people can demolish and transform it to another type that may bring more value to the community.
yeah,
And on the other hand, there are some type of old buildings like historical buildings and architecture that has to be preserved in order
yeah,
um, to remain um, to remain the culture um, of a country.
very good. So, Uh, as I realize, so what I got from your speech was that, so you say 50-50, so it depends. First, as you said, because it depends on the money, and if there are different any other things that needed to be spent on. So as you said, we can spend this money if it's not maybe a part of our heritage. So as you said, yes, maybe we can do something better. And you know, the second one, it depends where the money comes from. So that's really important. If this is investments from people or government, so two different things. And you know, then you can use, now you want to say preserve, restoring and maintaining, these two, restoring and maintaining can be used to paraphrase. Okay, if you want to use, and for example, old buildings, instead of saying, I don't know, historical, you can say, or historic buildings, you can say old buildings. But I can mention two things. First, historic properties, not buildings here, I don't want to repeat building again, are parts of our heritage. So of course it's important to be preserved. And another thing, if you want to mention, that's really important, they also attract a large number of overseas tourists who contribute a significant amount to our economy. So we can add this. Of course, I don't agree with this, you know, we need to totally invest on, but if we consider it as a good resource, okay, economical resource, why not? Especially about overseas tourists who contribute significant amount to our economy. So why not? So again, you can mention this one. Well, okay, and oh, what is this? Okay. And the last question of this part, let's keep going. Tell me, how have buildings changed in the past few years? The last question of part 3.
Well, I think the most significant difference is it's the way we construct and design the buildings. Before, the buildings tend to be. I think in the past they used to emphasize more on the pattern of the building. For example, they want the gate to be curved with multiple patterns, maybe dragons, or something like that. But now we don't do that. Instead, people tend to people tend to emphasize more on the materials and the height of the building, and about the way that the building may attract tourists and other people.
Yes, very good. Just the only thing that I can say here, yeah, it's not bad, you know, because nowadays, as you know, new houses are more eco-friendly, and we have this. It's like a trend nowadays. And you know, we have some words here. Just I want you to know these words if you want to use them. So when it comes to eco-friendly buildings, so the first one, that is eco-friendly. So what words can I use? The first one, if they are energy efficient, using little, for example, electricity. So especially we have IA, so artificial intelligence nowadays, AIs that be used that, for example, in order to reduce the use of energy. So if they are energy efficient, so that is using little, especially, you know, electricity or gas or something like this, etc. So like this. And if they actually, the second word that you can, windows, windows that are double glazing. And what is that? You know, they have two layers of glass with a space between and designed to reduce the loss of heat and, you know, of course, you know, exclude noise. So normally windows, and that's really good because in the past, you know, we had some normal windows. So of course we had the waste of energy, especially heat. So we have said that the windows are double glazing. So as I told you, okay, as I told you, double glazing. So two yellow layers with a distance, okay, between this, like air between these two layers, and it's really good to save heat. And the next one, insulation, that is really important. So we have material used to stop heat escaping. So for example, especially if buildings to be well insulated, and of course, you know, I don't know, they have double glazing windows, so we can save energy. So this way we can have some eco-friendly structures. So insulation, the last one, and that's it. Okay. Oh, just in, there is insulation. Well, okay, that's it. And we talked this topic in detail. Do you have any questions related to the sport, my dear?
No.
Okay, so thank you. It was really good time with you and have a great, brilliant day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for today.
You're
And goodbye.
welcome. Goodbye.